Alright, and welcome to part 4 of What If Female Deku with Space Godzilla. Now, before we start, I'd like to thank all the people who participated in the vote yesterday of whether I should do all the Godzilla ones in separate timelines, or I should do them in one timeline. And amazingly, you guys decide to do them all separately. So this is how I'm going to do it. I will be doing those ones from weakest to strongest. So from they can handle conventional weaponry, but they are still hurt by it, to being capable of withstanding nukes, to being able to fight interdimensional beings. So we'll go Shin Godzilla, Legendary Godzilla, then Godzilla Earth. Alright, so let's begin. Oh yeah, and you guys would quite like to see a thermal nuclear mode for Space Godzilla, so I will give her that. She will use it eventually, don't worry. Now, we'll pick up where we last left off. Aura was fighting Bakugo as she had slammed him into a wall. With her dating, it's been a while, Katsuki Bakugo. With Bakugo looking up at her and immediately recognizing her as the little girl that he bullied long ago, as he would say, "You. I thought I told you that you were a villain and that you will always be a villain." As he should say, "Aw, what's wrong, Katsuki? You mad you got a little bit of competition? Because if that's the case, I can show you how far apart we are in power. Like I just showed you right there. I haven't even exerted myself that much, and you're already on the back foot." With Bakugo immediately charging up One for All even further. So at this point, Bakugo can handle about 20%, but he doesn't have Black Whip. Why? Because plot convenience, as Bakugo would charge at her while he's at 20%, with him about to throw an explosion, with Aura immediately blocking it with a crystalline wall, as she would then use her breath of weapon through the wall, which would shatter it and hit Bakugo square in the chest, which would send him back into the wall. As Aura does have crystals there around the corner where Bakugo had turned, so those are currently charging her up right now. As Uraraka is currently making her way to the ballroom, as she is actually just outside the door, as she begins to sneak in, with Aura immediately grabbing Bakugo again with her telekinesis and immediately slamming him into the ceiling, with her saying, "To be honest, I don't know why people were so willing to follow you as a kid. I mean, yeah, your quirk is flashy, but you act more like a villain than you do a hero. To be honest, I don't even know why UA decided to let you in. Maybe it's because you had a flashy quirk, and the fact that you had the highest grade in your school. But here's the thing," as she would then slam him into the ground, as she would then put a foot on Bakugo's head, basically pinning him to the ground, as she would kneel down and whisper say into Bakugo's ear, "You are nothing here. There are people here who are equally or are stronger than you. So if you think you can act all high and mighty just because your quirk is flashy and powerful, you have another thing coming, Katsuki." As she would then take her foot off Bakugo's head and then kick him, sending him through at least 2 walls. as Bakugo is basically bleeding profusely at this point, as he's trying to get up, with Izumi saying, "Oh no, that won't be happening anytime soon." As she would then create sort of like the crystal cage that Space Godzilla used to trap Godzilla Jr. But instead of just having it to where like they can't move around, she also put a roof so Bakugo can't climb out. And she would say, "Well, I'm guessing this is considering you captured, so ta-ta." Oh yeah, and if you try to escape, those will send shards into your body, which will cause you to not move for I'd say about 2 hours, so don't do anything dumb. As she would then walk off. As Bakugo is basically just stuck there, as All Might would then announce over the intercom that Katsuki Bakugo has been captured by Aura Crestfallen. With Ida being surprised by this, and Uraraka, as she thought that would have taken longer for her to catch Bakugo. But with Ida doing his whole thing about having to embrace his inner darkness, being doing the edgelord thing that he did in the anime, as Uraraka would actually end up holding her laughter in this timeline, because she is actually taking this quite seriously. As she would continue sneaking around, as Uraraka would end up touching the bomb, just as Aura appeared around the doorway and Ida was about to attack her, as All Might would then announce that the hero team wins. Now, Aura did when the match finished, Ida did actually hit Aura after that on accident because he couldn't stop his momentum, which did cause like a little bit of blood to come from her mouth. As she would basically get a napkin from her hero costume, because she usually keeps like stuff on her to clean herself or apply first aid, but since she can regenerate, I don't really think that matters. But I think the first aid stuff would be more for people who can't regenerate. She would, as All Might would then say, who is the MVP of that match, as Momo would say that it was Uraraka, due to her keeping her composure. No, it was Aura, due to her coming up with a plan and keeping her composure and coming up with effective counter strategies for battling against Katsuki. As All Might would say, that is correct, and that heroes will need to work with each other and come up with effective strategies to defeat the villains. As it would come to the end of the day, as everybody would head out, with Aura immediately headed back to her house, which, for those of you who don't really remember it or are just joining us, that her house is completely made out of the crystal that comes out of her body and that she can create. So she's basically at her home training her quirk, as she ends up creating this new type of crystal with her bringing out of the ground. As she would feel it, she would touch it and feel that its temperature was incredibly high, and that there was a lot of energy packed into it. So she broke it, as her crystals would begin to glow a bright orange, as her skin would turn to a bright red, and her eyes would start glowing completely orange, and so would the inside of her mouth, and so would her dorsal plates. As she would realize that this is way too much energy for her to handle at this moment, as she would then disperse it in a full I'm going to, since this is, I'm going to call it a cosmic nuclear pulse due to, space and stuff. So she releases a cosmic nuclear pulse, which basically levels the area around her except for her house. As Aura would realize that this would be more suited as a last-ditch effort. Or for, if she's in serious trouble. As the next day would roll around, as they are going to the USG. As everybody is asking Aura was her quirk, with Aura saying that her quirk doesn't really have a name. Now, just a little outside bit. I did not give it a name because I don't know what to name it. So if you guys can come up with some names, because I'm pretty sure you guys are a lot more creative than I am, do leave them in the comments. As Aura would arrive Class 1A would arrive at the USJ with 13 basically stating that quirks can be dangerous and they can easily kill people. As Kirishima would look down and say, "Wow, you guys even have fake villains here?" As Aizawa and 13 would look down, Aizawa would then say, "Those aren't fake villains, those are real villains. 13, protect the children." And that is where I'm going to leave this part off. I do hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will be continuing Space Marine Tyranid Hybrid Deku later today, so do look out for that, and I'll see you all next time.